Tom was a young man who lived a very simple life. He worked in a small office in the middle of the city. Every morning, he woke up early, often before the sun rose. The alarm clock rang loudly beside his bed, and Tom always felt the same way when he opened his eyes, heavy, sleepy, and tired. He did not remember the last time he woke up feeling fresh or happy. Tom's days were always the same. He got dressed quickly, drank a cup of weak coffee, and left his small apartment. On the bus to work, he looked out of the window with tired eyes. People around him talked, laughed, or looked at their phones, but Tom felt far away from all of it. His mind felt slow, and his body felt weak, as if he never had enough rest. At the office, Tom sat at his desk for many hours. The computer screen glowed in front of him, and papers were everywhere. His job was not very hard, but it needed attention. Still, Tom often made small mistakes because he felt sleepy all the time. His boss sometimes looked at him with concern, and his coworkers asked him if he was feeling okay. Tom always smiled and said, "I'm fine," but inside he knew that was not true. At night, Tom wanted to sleep early, but he never did. He stayed awake, looking at his phone, watching videos, or thinking about work. His mind did not rest, even when his body wanted to. When he finally slept, his sleep was light and short. Dreams came and went, but he never remembered them. One afternoon, after a very long and tiring day, Tom returned home earlier than usual. The sky outside was gray, and the air felt quiet. He closed the door of his apartment and dropped his bag on the floor. His body felt heavy, and his head hurt slightly. He did not even want to eat. Tom walked slowly to his bedroom. The room was small but clean. Sunlight came through the window and touched the bed softly. Tom sat on the edge of the bed and took a deep breath. His eyes felt hot and tired. "I will rest for 5 minutes," he said softly to himself. He lay down on the bed without changing his clothes. The pillow felt warm and comfortable. Tom closed his eyes, and almost immediately, his breathing became slow and deep. The noise of the city slowly disappeared from his ears. Soon, Tom was asleep. In his dream, Tom found himself standing in a place he had never seen before. The ground under his feet was smooth and shiny, like glass. The sky above him was not blue. It was a deep purple color, moving slowly like soft waves. There was no sun, but the place was bright. The air felt cool and calm. Tom looked around in surprise. Everything felt very real. He could feel the ground, the air, and even his own breath. He tried to remember how he came there, but his mind was empty. As he walked forward, he noticed something strange in the distance. A tall, golden door stood alone, with nothing around it. The door shone softly, as if light came from inside it. Tom felt nervous, but at the same time, he felt curious. His feet moved forward on their own. When Tom reached the door, he stopped. The door was very tall, much taller than him, and it had no handle. For a moment, he thought he could not open it. Then, slowly, the door began to open by itself, without a sound. Tom stepped inside. Behind the door was a large room. The room was empty, except for one thing in the center. A huge clock stood there. It was bigger than any clock Tom had ever seen. The clock was round and dark, with shining numbers, but it had no hands. No hour hand. No minute hand. Nothing moved. Tom felt confused. How does this clock work? He wondered. Suddenly, a soft voice filled the room. It did not come from any direction. It was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. "Time is different here," the voice said calmly. Tom's heart began to beat faster. He looked around, trying to find the speaker, but he saw no one. "Who are you?" Tom asked. His voice sounded small in the large room. The voice did not answer his question. Instead, the clock began to glow. A gentle light spread across the room, touching the walls and the floor. The numbers on the clock shone brighter and brighter. Tom felt fear, but he did not run. Something inside him told him that this place was not dangerous. He stood still and watched the clock as the light grew stronger. The room became silent again. Tom's eyes stayed on the glowing clock, waiting, wondering, and feeling that something important was about to happen. The glowing clock began to change slowly. At first, the light was soft and warm, like morning sunlight. Then the surface of the clock became clear, like a window. Pictures started to appear inside it. Tom stepped closer, his eyes wide with wonder. He could not hear any sound, but the images felt alive. The first picture showed a small boy running in a green field. The boy was laughing, his face full of joy. Tom felt something move inside his chest. He knew the boy. It was him, many years ago. He remembered that day clearly now, the warm air, the smell of grass, and the happiness he once felt without thinking about time or work. The memory felt sweet but painful at the same time. The image changed. Tom saw himself sitting in a classroom, looking out of the window instead of listening to the teacher. He looked tired even then, but there was still hope in his eyes. The pictures continued to move, showing moments from his life, his first job, his first small apartment, late nights working, and long days feeling tired. Each picture felt closer to his heart than the last. "Why are you showing me this?" Tom asked softly. The voice returned, calm and gentle. "You stopped listening to yourself." The clock changed again. This time, Tom saw something new. He saw himself older, with lines on his face but a peaceful smile. This future version of Tom was sitting by a window, reading a book. The room was quiet. The man looked rested and calm. Tom felt a strange warmth when he saw this image. "I don't understand," Tom said. "How can this be my future?" The voice answered, "It is only one possible future. Time here is not fixed." Tom looked down at his hands. They looked normal, but he felt different inside. His chest felt lighter, as if something heavy had been lifted. "Why did you bring me here?" he asked. The light in the room softened. "Because you forgot how to rest," the voice said. "You forgot how to dream." Tom thought about his life. He thought about the nights he stayed awake for no reason, the mornings he felt empty, and the days that passed without meaning. He realized that he had been moving forward without stopping, like a machine. He never listened to his body or his mind. "I didn't know how," Tom said quietly. The clock's light grew brighter again, but this time it felt warm, not frightening. The pictures disappeared, and the clock became still. Tom felt calm. He felt safe. "Rest is not weakness," the voice said. "Sleep is not a waste of time. Dreams remind you who you are." Tom closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, the room had begun to fade. The golden walls turned soft and thin, like mist. The clock slowly disappeared, and the purple sky returned. Tom felt himself falling gently, like floating on water. There was no fear, only peace. Then he woke up. Tom opened his eyes slowly. He was back in his bedroom, lying on his bed. The sunlight had moved, and the room was quiet. He sat up and took a deep breath. His body felt different, lighter, relaxed, and warm. His head felt clear for the first time in a long while. He looked at the clock on his wall. Only 20 minutes had passed. Tom stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the city looked the same, but he felt changed. He smiled slightly, surprised by the feeling. That night, Tom went to bed earlier than usual. He turned off his phone and closed his eyes without worry. He slept deeply. From that day on, Tom began to change his habits slowly. He listened to his body. He rested when he felt tired. He stopped filling his nights with noise and light. His sleep became deeper, and sometimes he dreamed again. Sometimes, before sleeping, Tom remembered the golden door and the clock without hands. He did not know if the dream was real or not. But he knew one thing for sure: he was awake in his life for the first time.